Member for Kew on a question.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Education. Responding to the government's $2.4 billion cut to public schools, the President of the Australian Education Union Victorian branch said, "We are the lowest funded schools in the country. We are the lowest paid teachers in the country. That is going to be a disaster for public school staff and students." Does the Minister for Education support cutting public school funding by $2.4 billion, ultimately leaving Victorian public schools almost $3 billion worse off?
Order! 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 Minister for Education.
Thank you, Speaker. Which state has the best attendance rates in the country? Victoria. Who has the highest performance in the country? Victoria. Who is top of the class for NAPLAN? Victoria. Who has more students and more teachers going into teaching than any other state? Victoria.
Order! 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 I'd ask the Minister not to incite members in response. Order! Member for Croydon. Point of order, Manager of Opposition Business.
Speaker, I know that we weren't very far into it, but the Premier Hopeful was debating the question because it was a very narrow question around the $2.4 billion of cuts to state schools under his watch.
Order. I'd like to rule on the point of order, Leader of the House. The Minister for Education has only been on his feet for a short time. I do ask him to come back to the question.
Speaker, Victoria and our Premier, we have been unrelenting in getting to 5% from the Commonwealth, not 2.5%, 5% increase to the student resource standard, Speaker. Our government, when it comes to recurrent funding, has increased funding by 34%. Next year, Speaker, this government, the Allan Labor government, will open up its 100th brand new school, Speaker. Add to that 2,200 upgrades, Speaker. Every one of our specialist schools has been upgraded by our Labor government, Speaker. You know what, Speaker? When I talk about the $35 billion that's been invested in our education system, 99% has come from the Allan and Andrews Labor government. For the Commonwealth have contributed 1%. So we will not be lectured to by those opposite when it comes to investing in education. We've invested more in education than any other previous government. It's been an education revolution under this government. We're not only providing the best NAPLAN results, we're getting on and making sure...
Minister will resume his seat. Member for Rowville and the member for Narrabeen. Member for Rowville, you can leave the chamber for half an hour.
He's going to take a seat. Just give him a seat.
It will be an hour if you continue this attitude. Manager of Opposition Business has a point of order.
Speaker, I'm so shocked about you ejecting the member for Rowville that I've nearly forgotten my point of order.
He might be the father of the House. That does not make him immune.
Speaker, I think that the Minister is defying your ruling to come back to the very narrow question about why, under his watch, public schools will be $3 billion worse off.
Minister for Education was being relevant to the question that was asked. Minister, to continue.
Speaker, the question went to funding, and I've got every right in my answer to go back and talk about the funding we have provided. $35 billion investment, $17 billion in capital. And we talk about Gonski. Gonski originally was meant to invest in capital. This government has invested record funding in capital. And we know if you want to inspire students, the importance and the relevancy of education, they've got to learn in 21st century environments. But more than that, Speaker, we know education is the most powerful investment. That's why we have the Best Start, Best Life, where 90% of a child's brain is developed pre-prep. That's why we're embedding explicit instruction. It's why we're making sure we have the vocational major. More people in the state of Victoria than any other place on the mainland finish Year 12. Our Indigenous rates are the best in the nation. We are getting on and making sure no matter your postcode, no matter your parents' bank balance, you'll have every opportunity to live a life of purpose under the Allan Labor government in the state of Victoria.
Member for Kew on a supplementary question.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Jennifer, a recently retired teacher and former unionist, told ABC Radio Melbourne in response to the cuts, "There's no reason why I would want to go back into that system. This is devastating for teachers and for the students that they work with." Will the Minister for Education reverse these cuts, or will Victorian teachers and students continue to be shortchanged as a direct result of Labor's failure to manage money?
Order. Minister for Education.
First and foremost, Speaker, we couldn't do the great job we do without world-class teachers. And I should remind everyone in this chamber, we are the only state to have a Victorian Academy of Teaching and Learning. We actually promote, and I got a text message from a friend today who's just got his PhD in teaching. We are making sure we back our teachers. We're providing and making sure we get more part-time teachers. We're supporting our teaching workforce, and I am committed to working with the union. I met with the union only recently. We have a great working partnership because we know and we back our public school teachers. They have the most important job in society, getting ready for their future.
Minister, resume his seat. Order. Point of order, member for Kew.
Thank you, Speaker. On relevance, it was a very narrow question as whether the minister will reverse the cuts.
Order. I cannot tell the minister how to answer the question. I do remind the minister of the question, and he was being relevant. Minister.
Speaker, the only cuts I've ever had to reverse have been Liberal Party cuts to education. Whether it was selling off schools, in the Nidri electorate, my own electorate, Jeff Kennett sold the Oval off of the autistic school. We've upgraded 84 autistic schools. We get on with the job. The only cuts we reverse are Liberal cuts. What Labor governments do, Liberal governments try to undo.
Order.